Good evening and welcome to Indemand after a long summer of absence. I'm Jane Dennis.
And I'm Trudy Kerr. Here at Indemand, we are dedicated to sharing the experiences of influential and interesting women. Statistics show that women still lack influence in key areas of Maltese society. Tonight we are talking to two women who are trying to redress that imbalance.
That's right, tonight's guests are Fran Conti, who runs social media group Women for Women, and Lara Dimitrijevic, founder and director of the women's rights groups here in Malta.
Absolutely, and first up we're going to be talking to Fran. Fran, I am so excited to have you on the show this evening. It's absolutely brilliant.
It's been so exciting talking about so many women for so long, and to meet somebody who's really supporting women, hats off to you.
Absolutely, good for you. And of course, we've known each other a long time, but I've been watching what you've been doing for the social media group Women for Women. And I really want to know, I guess, really, how did that come about? How did you get involved? Because you're one of the founders, right?
Yes, I set up the group myself, all on my own. I mean, I have lots of other groups. I don't know if you know Oibingsev and the Salot.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know
and
that was
I realised that there was a need for space for women on their own to chat about our issues without trolls and without nothing.
Because men are not allowed in the group, are they?
No, men are not allowed in the group.
So you were on your own and you said to yourself, we need to set up a group for women.
Yes.
Where did it go from there? Because it's actually a huge group now, isn't it?
Yes, we're over 5,000 at the moment.
Yay.
Goodness.
It started, I had a hysterectomy, which is very female, very women-only thing that you go through.
Yeah.
Men don't understand. So I was sitting at home and I said, I need to discuss issues like hysterectomies, all our female stuff that we don't want to discuss in the Salot, you know, which is the other discussion group. And that's what I thought. We need to discuss issues like abuse, domestic violence.
To have a safe place.
Yes, exactly.
Where women can discuss
where it's serious, you know, when you have a very large group with a lot of people, they tend to make a joke of some issues, you know. So I thought women would take their issues more seriously.
And are you surprised about the way the topics that came up, rather than you had a view because you'd gone through something medical, and you had some ideas, I guess, about what people were going to talk about. But has it surprised you the way the threads have gone?
Yes, it surprised me that women are much braver than I thought. Actually, you know, it started off with very few people chatting, and then all of a sudden you'd notice certain topics that are controversial. You'd only get 10 women, maybe maximum, discussing or liking a topic. Now, after a few months where we've been discussing certain topics, there's much more interaction, and women are getting the courage to talk about their issues more, you know.
And how long's the group been going?
Since about May, so not that long.
Wow!
Is that all 5,000 members in that short time?
Yes.
I really thought that it'd been going an awful lot longer than that.
No.
Because I'm so familiar with it, you know. Wow, congratulations. I mean, that's an incredible thing to do.
Well, it's thanks to all the women who participate. You know, it's not it's our group. It's a women's group. So
you talk about the issues there. Are there some issues you think that are more specific to women than men? So not just, you know, health issues. I can see how that is just something that's specific to women. But are there other things that are specific to women and not to men that you talk about?
Yes, like raising children and working mothers and being a mother, not a working mother. You know, it's all the issues that concern us mostly, but not only us, which shouldn't be only our issues.
Yes. Has anything surprised you that's come up?
Surprised me that, yes, how many women actually work, study, raise children. It's quite amazing. We had a thread where a woman said, this is what I do. I make cards. I like to create cards. And she said, what do you ladies do? And all of a sudden, there were all these women who are doing their masters, 3 children.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you know, working.
Exactly that. I spoke to a woman today
Was it me? This wonderful woman.
Well, I have spoken to you today, but it wasn't you. I spoke to a woman today who has a full-time job and 3 children and is finishing her masters, and I'm just looking at her going, good grief.
Yes.
And so that would suggest that Women for Women is a place where people can just actually just open up and be honest about how they feel about these things.
Exactly.
What about other issues? Are there things that are a little bit more controversial that you perhaps weren't expecting?
Well, we talk about a lot of controversial stuff. As I said before, we start off with very few comments, and now as the months go by and we've discussed more and more issues, sexual education at schools, you know, first, you know, the importance, first it was very few women talking about, now everybody's talking more, you know, domestic violence, where to go, you know, addressing the issues and knowing where to go. And it's really nice seeing women saying, I've gone through this, I know what you're feeling.
Oh,
you know?
that's amazing, isn't it?
You know, and it's a real help to know that you're not alone.
I don't know about you, but, well, I do. We just mentioned it. We asked you a question just a second ago, and you answered and said that there's a need for this because society here precludes openness.
Yes.
And so what were you referring to then? What specifically is that about?
I find that amongst your group of, you're supposed to be a certain type of woman, and you're expected to be, at least with my friends, a certain, where I realize that I am much more than what my friends think I am. And I'm finding that a lot of women are the same, you know, they feeling more comfortable talking about their issues on social media. Personally, I find.
So some sort of anonymity, maybe.
Yes,
some
exactly.
Sort of
because
openness.
exactly,
but is
you can
there
have
anonymity in Malta? I mean, you know, we've both lived here 9 years, and it's amazing still how I still find it amazing that everybody knows each other, or related to each other, or married to each other, or worked with each other. So can you still have that level of anonymity? Because I'm sure you would in England. You could really be anonymous.
with social media. You can change your name slightly to be someone you're not exactly who you are. You know, I tend to ask, listen, if I see a name that looks like a fake profile, I say, listen, can you just make yourself known to admin? Because if you know, if you say something, and I need to know who you actually are, and I keep it to myself. You know, some people say, I'm a teacher, I wouldn't like my students to know that I'm talking like this, or the parents, or you see, so they changed their name slightly to something slightly different, so they have that anonymity.
So with that anonymity then, I'm just thinking, are there issues that are specific to Maltese women? Because you could join there's lots of generic forums and generic networks which are about supporting women globally, where you could have real anonymity. Does that lend itself to think then that there are specific issues that relate to women in Malta?
I think we have the same issues all over the world. I think just in Malta, it's more about awareness. We need to create awareness about certain issues and make women realize that there is the help, we can go out and get all this stuff, we can do it all, or almost all, you know, and we can. There's a lot of support. If we need support, we can, you know, and it's important that we start giving the right role models to especially our girls, you know, not the Kardashians, but Malala, you know, and that's what I try to, you know, and education, make sure you get an education. I mean, we're very good in Malta with that now, you know, there's so many opportunities.
Yes.
You see, so I think there's nothing specific to Maltese that is really.
There was one thing that you said a few minutes ago, and I think probably I've become very much more aware of from doing this show and other sort of experiences, and I think maybe you agree. Jane and I have kind of a privileged position in that we get to enjoy being here in Malta, and we love the Maltese people, but we aren't Maltese, and therefore some of the things that you've spoken about would be, and that sort of closeness of society, you know, we're foreigners, essentially. We don't see it. No. And exactly.
It's nice, in some ways, it's quite nice because it gives you freedom, and in other ways, you can be excluded a little bit.
It's very important in our group we have a lot of foreign women, foreign women who live in Malta, and foreign friends who have Maltese women who have added their foreign friends, and they give a really different flavour to the conversation.
Yeah,
you know.
that's interesting.
So they're bringing outside experiences
Yes,
into
to
Malta as well.
Exactly, which is very good because we tend to be a bit close-minded. Not all, but there are some. You know, we're always shy, and we're, at least I speak from my experiences. When I was younger, I was very shy to speak out, and I feel that there's still this issue with some Maltese women, not all, obviously.
With regards to men, though, and you tell them what they do, how do they feel about what you do for a living when you tell them what you do? How do men react to
this is something I do as a hobby. It's not my... my husband is very supportive. My husband is the biggest feminist I know. He's...
Does he know that you call him a feminist?
Yes, and he's very proud.
We love Mr. Fennec.
Oh, bless him.
He's very proud to call himself a feminist, and he's empowered me as well, you know. So it's these opportunities that the men have to be the feminists. You know?
And is that common, do you think?
It's getting better. It's not so common. I think very few men are feminists in Malta. But
and
they
by
need to be...
that, you mean men supporting women? Because you're using a very extreme
standing
term.
side by side and empowering and giving them the opportunities. You know, my husband, at our company, we employ lots of women. Our CFO is a woman. We give them the opportunity to bring their children to...
Brilliant.
My husband used to take his children to the office and to other meetings to show that it's not only a woman's issue. Children are, you know, it's something
for both parents.
For both parents, yes. And I think it's very important that men start to realise this, you know. And
we're going to talk about the big F word, the feminist issue, later on.
The F word.
But we have to take a break, unfortunately. It's been absolutely... Fran, I'm so thrilled to have you on the show. I think you are as well.
Brilliant.
Listen, whatever you do, don't go anywhere. We're just going for a quick break. Come back for more of In Demand in just a few minutes.
Welcome back to In Demand, where we are talking about women supporting women, and we've been joined by Lara Dimitrijevic.
Right.
I did. Lara Dimitrijevic.
You've been practicing that all
I've
day,
been practicing
haven't
it all day, yes.
Lara, thank you so much for coming on the show. You're very, very welcome. You are the co-founder of the Women's Right Foundation.
I'm the founder, yes.
You are the
founder.
Of the Women's Right Foundation. Tell me about the work that you do there and what it's all about.
Well, basically, I'm a lawyer by profession, and I've been practicing law for a number of years, mostly specialising in family law. And throughout the years, I sort of noticed that there were quite a number of women that were coming to court, really not knowing what the rights were. And one of the reasons was, one, they could not afford a lawyer, they were completely disempowered. So I thought, you know, hey, hold on, something has to be done here. And that's when I decided that most countries have something very similar, and that's when I decided to set up the Women's Rights Foundation.
Right.
As a foundation, it offers free legal services and legal representation, initial legal representation, mostly for victims of domestic violence, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, human trafficking, gender equality, discrimination at work. Majority of our clients are victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse. We feel that most of our clients and people that do approach us are people that are, you know, they're very afraid and they've been through a very horrible and turbulent experience in their life. And, you know, the law in itself is already complex. The system, the legal system is already very complex. And they can, therefore, the fact that they can then approach us, even anonymously, through Facebook and other social media, where they are, you know, they can ask us, say, listen, sort of, what is our right? That kind of empowers them, and that helps them to make, you know, the right decision, or sort of to come around and realizing that, listen, I am not what my husband has been telling me, that I do not have rights, or that, you know, nothing in here is mine, or that he's going to take away my children.
Yeah.
You know,
so you noticed this trend from your profession
Yes.
the profession that you were doing. And that's quite a leap to notice a trend and then to personally do something about it. I guess people were aware of that situation anyway, but why did you specifically decide it was something that you wanted to do?
I just really felt that something had to be done. I mean, you said that sort of people, you know, I noticed a trend. I don't know if other people did actually notice a trend, you know. I could really see it. In courts, within the courts, some clients approaching, that something was not quite right. And I think one of the reasons was also the financial aspect to it. I mean, if they're going to seek legal advice, and I mean, of course, there is the option of free legal, of the legal aid services, but it's quite a lengthy process, and you have to go through the process to then eventually get to a lawyer. I mean, through the NGO, they can just get in touch through social media, through Women for Women. We've had people contacting us in that way, where they can keep purely their own anonymity from the comfort of the home or at their place of work, within their safe haven, all right, a safe environment. So I think that's kind of what led us more to, you know, eventually creating this NGO.
And it's, I know from my own experience, I've had to go to court once or twice in my life.
Have you?
Yeah,
That's news
not
to
any.
me.
Haven't done anything naughty. It's all right.
We won't ask.
That's a topic
in
for
there,
later.
Trudy.
We'll just brush away that. But it is massively intimidating.
It is.
It's frightening. There's lots of, you've got to stand there in court. You've got to use the right language. There's lots of loopholes and questions that have to be asked. And it is it's a scary experience.
It's a very intimidating environment.
And exactly, and I should imagine on top of as well, you're going there maybe to take an action against someone who is very close to you, whom you've loved. That whole thing must be so frightening.
Yeah,
and maybe that's why a lot of people don't.
It was one of the reasons as well. I mean, I'll give you an example. And I'll take a couple of a domestic violence setting, you know, and one of the spouses, and I'll take women in this particular scenario, would proceed, actually go ahead to file a police report against the husband or their partner, which eventually would go to court. The husband partner would be then represented because he is the accused and he has the right and he has to be represented, you know, have legal representation. But the woman, as a victim, right, today, by law, she has a right to be represented, but most of the time they weren't, and they're petrified.
Wow.
It's very intimidating.
Wow.
It's a dog-eat-dog's world out there. So he's being represented, the lawyer's screaming and, you know, just literally going down her throat. And it's already
But I
really
assume
intimidating.
people didn't, you know, you would assume that these things would be intimidating, but you hadn't been through the process, and you were noticing this trend. Once you set up the NGO, was there a sudden surge of people, more people than you thought you were going to
We've had
experience?
The vast number of our clients that actually have decided to, or rather were empowered enough to actually to proceed, you know. Some of them would go back, they're not certain, we've got the children, not sure, but sort of, you know, eventually we're having created a great system and sort of a network, because we work very closely with social workers and other professionals that might be involved in these women's lives, together with the children, you know, to help them to empower themselves enough, you know, because they have this great support structure, legal being a major component of it, you know, to actually go through with it.
So did it unearth a big group of people that perhaps people were unaware of that existed? Perhaps, you know, there was a view that this was a small problem simply because people weren't reporting it, but now it seems as though the problem's bigger?
I wouldn't say bigger, but more people are actually reporting.
Okay.
There's more awareness, okay, especially amongst the younger generation. Not so much with the older one. It's still very difficult with certain age brackets. I would say perhaps 50 plus. It's much, much harder because perhaps they're used to that way of life, and, you know, sort of, you know, it's still very tough. With the younger generation, yes, I think, well, actually, coming to think of it, even people that are 50 plus, women are becoming much more assertive. So there is definitely more awareness when it comes to the area of domestic violence. In other areas, perhaps not so much, but with domestic violence. And in fact, I believe recently the numbers were published and with vis-a-vis reports, and they actually have, I think, doubled or increased by far. It's the second most reported crime in Malta. After
Is it
theft.
really?
Yes.
Good grief.
After theft.
Yes, after
Is
theft
it
is the
really?
second most
Wow.
reported
And
crime.
has that increased, again, the same topic, but has it increased since the NGO's been set up?
I wouldn't say, no, I wouldn't be
No.
in a position. Well, I hope that perhaps the NGO gave a little bit
Yes.
of a push in that direction, but I wouldn't be able to say, yeah.
And so you've got the legal kind of structure to assist women. Is this then leading to a thought change as well? Are you seeing that that is changing the way people think
It
as
does.
well?
I mean, the fact that you know your rights, you know, so what are really my rights? And they would have a completely misconceived, you know, construed idea as to what their rights actually are. So then knowing what the rights are gives you that sense of, hey, you know, I can do this. And definitely that has really,
But how
really
does that
helped.
change the culture? The laws supporting change and gender equality all over. But how does that go down to the grassroots level, you know, in somebody's home, in education systems, in workplace environments? How is the law affecting the cultural attitudes of people?
Is it, well, one has to see, you know, there are different aspects. And I always give the example of the referendum, okay, where it, with
About
regard to divorce, yes, with regard to divorce, you know, people, society, multi-society was ready for that. You know, we had a vast number of separated couples, you know, creating other families. So sort of, yeah, people were ready for that, and the people spoke and the people chose, and then the law reflected that. You have then another aspect of what's happening and what we've been seeing, which is very much read, and I'm very proud to be Maltese in this respect, where we're seeing, you know, the civil unions, the Gender Equality Act, but then sort of as well, perhaps following slightly on social media what's been going on, is us multi-society really ready for that? You know, so sort of, but I always
Because it's a very,
believe-
very
it
fast
is,
change.
It is.
I've
It is
been
a
here 10
drastic
years and
change.
you've gone boom, boom,
Yes, yes.
like that.
I'm
It's
proud. I'm
huge.
proud. It's very much needed. You know, we really needed that.
But
It's
is
great.
it, for sure, but does it not take a little bit of time for people to catch up? Because there's
It's a matter of educating people.
Ah.
We have to educate people, and we have to start from when children are very young. You know.
And you say education doesn't just take place in school, does it?
No, everywhere, everywhere. I would say even the place of work. You know.
Listen, Lara, I'm loving talking to you. I am absolutely, and I'm really looking forward to talking to both of you in just a moment. We have to unfortunately take a break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Stay right here. Go make yourself a cup of tea or get yourself a glass of wine and come back right here in just a few minutes.
Welcome back to In Demand, where we're talking to two great women, Fran and Lara, about how women support women here in Malta.
Absolutely, and ladies, it's absolute pleasure and privilege to have you on the show
Cheers.
this evening. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Listen, first up, we're going to talk about the F word. Okay, I was talking to a colleague of mine the other day who kept calling me a feminist, and I
Kept calling you the F word.
she did. Oops. And for me, that feminist word kind of makes me think back to the 1980s and women burning bras and wearing dungarees, and so I kind of avoid that word like anything. But to you, what does that mean? What is the F word all about? What does the feminism mean for you guys?
It's very simple. Equal rights for men and women in all spheres of life. For me, in anything we do.
No bra burning, no...
Nothing like that. Just equality, having the same opportunities. I don't know if Lara...
Yes, no, I totally agree with you. And in
Just
fact, I think with Jane, we had the conversation and sort of like, I ask myself, like, am I really a feminist? You know what I mean? I just believe in equality, and that is something that I'm sort of striving towards and want to work towards, you know. But am I a feminist? I mean, we've created, as you said, like this big F word.
Right, exactly.
Why should we even have the F word in the first place? You know.
That's my
I
problem.
wonder why it was hijacked in the first place. I wonder whether, you know, feminism came about as a movement and then the word was taken over by those who didn't actually like the message that was being delivered, and then it became a dirty word, and I think it's stuck with being a dirty word. And I like dungarees, for what it's worth, and I'm still quite happy to wear them.
I bet you look great in them.
And I'm a feminist.
But from my point of view, I'm looking at younger generation who use that word feminist and they banter it around. And I talked to my colleague, as I was saying the other day, and I said, well, if a man can do it, I can do it. I happened to be passing a young lady who was doing a tyre change the other day, and I pulled over and I said to her, look, would you like a hand? And she said, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I was like, good for you. Because I'm the kind of girl who used to ride motorbikes and did oil changes. Because I had to. Because you had to. There was no one else to do it. But as I said, you've said that it's about equality and it's about just equal rights and equal consideration. But I think sometimes...
I mean, if I have a puncture, I'm going to flag a man down. I'm not going to do it myself.
But surely
That's right.
a feminist should do it herself, no?
No, it's not about that.
Okay.
So tell us, that's a really good example. Tell us
Yeah.
why it's not about that, because that's the kind of example someone would come up with to say,
Exactly.
you know, well, you should change your own tyre.
No, but there's things that we all do better, you know, at certain things. There are things that men do better than women, and women... But for me, it's about equal opportunities. If a woman wants to do something that a man does, she should have the right to do it and the opportunity to do it. And all the help she might need to do that job should be there to help her.
What do you
know?
think?
That's,
There's equal...
I'm actually thinking sort of like men, you know, women can do what men do, but men can do what women do too, like hang up clothes, wash the dishes, and look after the children.
Yes, for sure.
And also, you know, maybe not take the promotion to be around with the kids whilst, you know, the woman's pursuing her career. So sort of, I mean, it does have to go both ways. So it's not about the big F by far, because men still, statistically, they're still, you know, in a better job with a better pay. So, you know, it's not because we are the big F words, it's just because we really truly believe and really want to have equality.
And do you think men suffer from a stigma if they're in Malta trying to redress that balance, if they wanted to do something different, if they wanted to take parental leave, for instance? The law exists here for male parental leave.
Yes, it does.
So is there still a stigma attached to that happening? There was, I know, for a while in the UK, but less so now.
I personally think that there still is, yes. Still, we will still have this very patriarchal dominated society. We're getting better, but still, you know, it's still, I don't know, I don't know if you agree with me.
No, I agree with you, I agree
that
with
sort of
you.
like, even with amongst the young couples, you know, that sort of, it's the man that will go to work.
Yes.
And it's somehow even expected by the women, you know what I mean? That's when it goes back to the education.
Oh, you just said it's still within the younger generations.
Yes.
So what's going to change it? Does it need to change it? And what's going to change it? If the younger people are still saying, well, you know, the man is the breadwinner and...
That's what I mean by education. You have to educate from a very young age.
Exactly.
You know,
Right.
that there is equality, that because you are a boy does not make you any better than a girl, and because you're a girl, you're not expected to do the cleaning.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But you know,
Exactly.
it's
You're a boy, you
at
don't do
home,
the cleaning.
what we do, you know, that kind of trend still exists, that, you know, the girls will help mummy do the washing up and the laundry, and the boys will... I mean, I think about my husband, if we're driving in a car somewhere, I'll say, oh, Victor, look at the motorbike. And if I'm out with my grandmother, she'll say, oh, Daisy, look at the lovely woman in her lovely dress. And all these subliminal things happen that you don't notice, but it's just part of their evolution of everything that everybody goes through. And the gender is being reinforced as what men do and what women do. So education's bigger than schools, right?
It is. It
For
has
sure,
to
at
start at
home.
home.
I mean, my husband,
definitely
he's going to probably get angry, but he he does all, you know, he loves to cook, he loves to be part of the house and you know, help in the house, and there are certain things.
Where did you find?
I know,
Is
it's
there
very
another
lucky.
I'm not allowed in our
You know,
kitchen.
we're all,
It's
exactly.
a no-go zone for me.
We all
My
do
husband
everything, you
cooks.
know, it's a family and we all share, and there's no girls do this and boys do that, and
My husband is a stay-at-home dad. I'm the breadwinner.
Really?
So, yes. 3 kids, and he's, at home.
And
Looking after the kids.
Sorry, go on.
He doesn't... There's no stigma for him attached
No,
to that? Or,
not at all.
Wow-wee.
Not at all.
Wow-wee.
Because I think about that, and I think about how that works socially. You know, when I go to events or play dates or whatever it is, parties, it's all mums sitting having a coffee and having a chat together. And I think about the stay-at-home dads in Malta more than the UK, I think, that they are, you know, the only man. How does he get on with that?
He's perfect. He's very happy.
He loves his coffee mornings. Good for him.
He's really doing a great job, and I encourage him, of course.
Yes, for sure.
Was it ever up for discussion?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It was always that way between us. So.
It's really interesting. I mean, a couple of things are kind of going off in my head as we're having this conversation, but one of the things that we're talking about is this sort of gender reference as well. And just kind of, I was pulled up the other day because I turned round to my brother when he was here, and we were both throwing stones over the cliff at Dingley, whatever, and I said to him, "Oh, you throw like a girl." Now, I don't know if these phrases exist in Maltese, but in English, they certainly do. You throw like a girl, don't cry like a girl, and they're all signs of weakness. Now, I still use them, and I'm a woman, and I'm a
Feminist.
supposedly a feminist.
On air.
I'm not admitting to that, but supposedly I'm a feminist. But they are so ingrained.
They are.
So deeply ingrained in culture. What do we do about getting rid of those? Because if people like myself are saying stuff like that, then really it's the younger people don't have a change.
There are education programs. There's also an NGO, just as a side note, which my husband's running, which is Men Against Violence, and basically that's what the point is, that men stand up and speak out against violence that is committed towards women. And they do actually have education programs in school, where basically that is what they're actually showing to these kids, even from a very young age, that, you don't go around and say, oh, because you throw like a girl, and you don't go around and saying, oh, you're a slut because you have a short skirt and therefore you're asking for it. So that's what I mean. It has to start educationally, and obviously if you're going to start changing that culture bit by bit, it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, you're saying from the UK. I mean, UK is by far miles away from Maltese mentality, but yet you still say it. But gradually it's being broken down, and you're aware of it, so that's a start.
I do. I pick myself up every time I say things like, throw like a girl.
So what practical solutions can be brought in then to help bring about gender equality? So I'm thinking, I know in the UK when there's some political candidacies, they've had women-only shortlists as an example. So some practical solutions are being, whether you agree with that or not, there are practical solutions that are being brought about. Are there things that can be done? We've talked about education, we've talked about the law. Are there other things?
I think the quotas are important in boards, and the female quotas are important. A lot of people, it's quite controversial. I mean, I tend to agree with quotas. They enforce. It doesn't mean that you're going to choose a woman because there are women as good as men, and those quotas will ensure that the women get onto those boards and are part of politics and education and everywhere, wherever, Exactly. Work, So
what's stopping them? I know women do really well in the education system here. In fact, they fare better than men, the girls, and when you go to university. So what's stopping them making that leap?
I think that's they're in multi-society. You're meant to be the mummies, stay at home and bring up the children. I think it's what's expected. I know maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
It is what is expected. I mean, as you said, it's expected that you bring up the children. Yet sort of I find, at least in my work, that it's also expected. Listen, we have gender equality now, so you can't expect to stay at home, look after the children, and your husband's going to pay your child maintenance or support for yourself.
Yes, exactly.
You go and work, so it's great, brilliant. I have to go and work, come home, look after the kids, the cooking, just be there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So somehow it's like we have to push further, we have to fight more. But listen, it goes both ways. Equality is both ways.
Yes.
And that is something that we really feel strongly about as an organisation.
Based on that, just popping into my head, your social media group is called Women Supporting Women. From a really practical sense, for an everyday woman, what's the best way that a woman can support other women? What's the most significant thing that I could do as a woman to support other women around me?
To me, I think value that woman, not what she wears, but what she does and what she says. It's not about what she looks like. We tend to judge a lot. I feel in Malta that by the look, she's, like you said, she's a slut, she's this, she's that. We label a lot. instead of looking at that woman and saying, okay, I should admire her. Let me see what, you know, where she's actually coming from. That's, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do that myself, you know, because obviously I'm always learning. I'm just fumbling around, you know. Women for Women, I started it, but I have so much to learn from so many women, so many clever, kind, generous women, you know. And I think to realize that most women are intrinsically good, you know, and we don't want to bitch against each other. We want to help. We should be helping each other and looking out for each other. Yes.
Listen, we're not actually going to go anywhere. We're going to carry on talking in a minute. And ladies, it's absolutely amazing to be joined by you this evening. However, for this evening, that is us. That's it from us. We are so grateful for you coming and joining us this evening.
Thank you.
And wishing you all the very, very, very best with what you do, and cheers to that. We're going to carry on talking because in a few minutes we're going to be just chatting away, and you can see that on Sunday night.
So join us next week and Sunday for more chat, and where we'll be talking to these great women on Sunday and next Friday with some other fantastic women and some other great themes.
Absolutely, and if you want to find out more about these wonderful women and what we're doing here on In Demand, just go to our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/InDemandTV Malta.
Absolutely.
Have a look at that and see all about this show and every other show that we're going to be doing and have done. And that's that.
And that's that. That's it. This has been In Demand. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you Sunday and next Friday.
Good night.